Hi there. Welcome back to Stationeers. Right, it has been a while since I did one of these, so apologies. I've been busy on some other games with the wife. We've been playing all sorts. We've been playing some Grounded, we've been playing some Left 4 Dead, we've been playing some Phasmophobia, something like that. I don't know what it's called. About ghosts. Um, but yeah, I figured I'm gonna come on here and do one more of these because I kind of left it with at least one more thing that I want to kind of go through with you. We're getting to a point now where, for new starters, you kind of understand the raw basics of everything. We set up our first greenhouse. We've got our workshop up. We've got some furnaces set up. Well, furnace, singular. We obviously got our little fuel mixing working with the equalizing. We got some trading up. We got some power generation. So we've touched on quite a few little bits that will all sum up to you getting started, and from there you want to just start building up your knowledge. But there's one more thing that I want to touch on, and I think it's important for the update when that comes. Because with the terrain update, they have reworked how the deep drills work. And again, for new players, deep drill. Why am I only getting one potato from them? Rip off. Oh yeah, I don't even have an oven, do I? Never mind. Yeah. So deep drills, if you don't know, they're basically a way for you to get unlimited ore. And you don't have to mine it yourself, which is obviously always nice. Now, as it currently stands, so in the version that I'm playing now, just the standard version of Stationeers, you can place a deep miner anywhere, and it will just mine ores at a random ratio, and basically an unlimited amount. You'll get a bit of everything from a deep drill wherever you put it. In the update, they've changed it, so depending on the location you put the deep drill, depends on the amount of what types of ore you get. So you may place a deep drill in one area and you only get gold. You may place it in another area and you might get iron and copper. So it's very kind of a bit more structured. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it allows, or it kind of forces you to explore the map a little bit more. But if you haven't touched the deep drill before, then it's probably worth that we go through that now, to be honest. So I think, yeah, there we go. So go to your auto leave, and you are looking for the deep miner. Now these are a little bit expensive. Is that the? Hang on a second. Let me make sure that is the one. It is that one. That's fine. There's different miners. So you've got the Oh wow, I can't remember what it's called. Is it called the ogre? How do you spell ogre? Yeah, so you have the ogre. So this is one of the mining devices, and basically this is more of a tunnel bore. It will get you ore, but it's not really worth it because the amount you have, it's only going to dig in a straight line. Obviously, you don't want to just dig in a straight line. You want to dig like either unlimited or in a larger area. You would have to keep moving it along, and yeah, it's just not great. If you want a long tunnel, by all means build this, and that will make you a nice smooth tunnel, and you can use that for whatever you want to. But that's one thing. There is another one, but I don't know if they removed it from the game. It's been that long since I've used it. Oh, here we go. The Auto Miner Small. Basically, if anyone played Minecraft and you had the quarry, you know how it works. It kind of goes through and it mines each individual block, and it'll mine all the way down, and you end up with this massive shaft, like a massive hole in the floor. But once it hits the bottom, then it stops. What the fuck was that? Uh. Huh. Well, that went boom. How? How? Well, look at that. My greenhouse is foobarred. So, I'm guessing somewhere along the lines, one of these pipes, when the entire pipe network has gone boom. I have not seen that for a long time. And now all of my ice is freezing and then instantly melting again. So, yeah, fun times. Fun times. We lost solar panel. Great. Fantastic. This is amazing. Ah. Well, obviously that's something to be careful of. Now this, if I was playing this properly, this isn't the end of the world because my workshop is safe. Or this door very almost went. That was a hell of an explosion and I've just been in here. I don't know what happened. But yeah, when this kind of thing happens, don't threat because obviously we can just we can reload this. So why don't we try that? Why don't we reload and go and have a quick look at what system is going to cause that explosion? So I'm going to leave the session. I'm not going to save it. But yeah, if you didn't want to do this, then obviously we could rebuild. That's not the end of the world. If you're playing on easy, it's absolutely fine. So let's reload this. There's something in here is reaching high pressure. So let's have a look-see. It's not that. Not that. That's 2 megapascal. It's not that. Not you. Not you. Not you. Not you. That's only 4 megapascal. What the hell exploded? The output like. No, the output's fine. I don't know what exploded. Temperature in here is tiny. 73 kilopascals isn't tiny, and we've got walls, but that wouldn't have caused an explosion. Huh. I, in all honesty, do not know. What did that? Pollutant. I don't know. I think we see if that happens again. Ignore Electra in the background. She's telling us that it's a feed fish day, but I've already done it. Temperature's increasing in there. Sometimes when you have an explosion, it will take a while for you to figure out exactly what the hell happened. Right now, I can't see anything in here that caused that issue. Like, there's nothing in here that's going to combust. That fuel is fine. That fuel isn't at a high pressure or anything. Neither is the oxygen, so they're not the issue. My water pressure is low, so I'm fine with that. This pipe just meets the room temperature, so that is also fine. Pressure in that pipe is only like 1.7. It can handle 60 megapascal, these pipes. So nothing to be concerned about. I might go and check outside and make sure there wasn't anything. Oh, I know what's done it. I know what the problem is. I 100% know what the problem is. Basically, by cycling into my workshop, I built the pressure in this room too high. So the walls, if you search for iron wall, or just wall and then scroll down for like an hour. Right, iron wall. So these can handle, oh no, 200 kPa. There's no way that's bringing 200 kPa in this room. You know what, let's cycle the airlock out. See what happens to this room. 79 kPa. That is not high. So there's still nothing in here.
Critical. Health critical.
The fuck?
Suit damage. Toxin critical.
I don't understand. Why is that tank exploding? Lots of things were destroyed. Welcome to Stationeers. Okay, I've got another idea. Let us move these tanks out, because that's where the explosion originated from. So let's grab these out. Because I'll be honest, I don't know what the hell's happening. Unless there's one of these canisters is blowing up, maybe? That's low pressure. What are you looking like? You're fine. You're not an issue. What about you? So I'm going to take that outside because it's going to be that. What's happening is the CO2... Yeah, that's going to explode. That's not actually going to help me out there. Run! Okay, so if you remember, in the very first tutorial video, I said, you look at this CO2, take it out of the fire extinguisher. Don't do that. You want to leave it in the fire extinguisher because it'll be absolutely insulated in there. Goodbye, CO2. And that'll probably... Yeah, there we go, look. We found our explosion. And look at the size of that. That's just one canister. Jeez Louise. Yep, that's knackered. But there we go, we sussed it. We sussed it. So obviously, remember that if anything explodes, not the end of the end of the world, you can log off, log back in. Keep your gases away from your workshop. That way, if anything is going to explode, then at least you could rebuild if you didn't want to do the whole relogging again. But yeah, that was eventful. But yeah, anyway, where were we? The miner. Yeah. So we were talking about the small miner, the auto miner small. And this is fine. It leaves a massive square hole in your ground, which is fine. The problem I have with this is you have to keep moving it. Like, it'll mine a shaft until it hits bedrock, as it says here, and then it will just stop. And then you basically have this massive hole in the floor, gaining nothing from it, and you have to move your miner and cable it back up. I find this to be more hassle than it's worth. The deep miners, these guys will mine down to bedrock. Once it hits bedrock, it will provide dirty ore, and you process that dirty ore to get basically a random ore, and it's unlimited. So if you're going to go for any kind of automatic mining, you want the deep miner. The other two, I mean, you could use the auto miner small to build you to mine you out a big shaft, and then you could use that as a rocket silo if you wanted to. You could use the ogre, and it could mine out a a horizontal tunnel. Which, if you want a tunnel and you like tunnels, make a tunnel. That's absolutely fine. But for me, I don't want to do any more mining. So we're going to go for the deep miner. Now, quite expensive. You need a lot of steel and then electrum, invar, and constantan. At this point, you should be in a position where you have these things. If not, you know what you need to do. You need to go and smelt some in your furnace. But there we go, look, I just need a bit of steel, which I have, and there we go. We have our deep miner. So we'll make one of those, and for the sake of this tutorial, I'm only going to make one. In an ideal world, you would make 3, and you would combine them with a combustion centrifuge, which I'm not going to do in the tutorial series. I don't think that is basic for new players. This tutorial series is all about getting started, and that is it. So we're not moving into any advanced stuff. If you look at the deep miner, you will see we need 12 steel sheets and electronic parts. So let's get the electronic parts made from our electronic printer. Electronic parts. Iron, gold, copper. I went out and did loads of mining, so we should be good. I shouldn't have to do any more mining today. And while I'm waiting for those, I'm going to make myself some more filters. Because in my suit, you can see I'm on my last filter and it's at 12%. So when you start getting this icon, you really need to go and check your filters because you're about to run out. And that is not a good day for anyone. Now I'm going to waste one here. I had one at 12%, but I'm not going to wait for that to run out. I'm just going to get rid and get it recycled because I can. And there we go. We've got 7.5 iron back from that. Very nice. 1, 2, 3, 4. I made too many electronic parts. I'm not concerned. They can go there. We've got those. And then after this guy is made, we need some steel sheets. And we needed 12 of these, which I don't think I have. I do not. So once this guy's finished, we'll get those printing. Thank you very much. And I'm also going to need some shoots. So let me get some iron. Shoot. There we go. So we're going to go and set up the deep miner. Give you a it's a very easy machine to figure out, but I figured we'll just cover it. And that way you should be as prepared as you can be for the update, really. 9, 10, 11, one more. 12. Thank you very much. Got all the shoots, so thank you very much. Whoopsie. You know what, actually? I changed my mind. I wasn't going to touch on the combustion centrifuge, but you know what? We're in a position where I might as well show you both of them. So, go to your auto leave, and you're looking for the combustion centrifuge. Again, uses Invar, Constantin, and steel, so a little bit on the expensive side, but this guy will he will cover you, like you'll be good. So there's two centrifuges. You've got this one which solely uses power as something that's processing recycled stuff. This is perfectly fine. There's nothing stopping you from having multiple of these. Just remember that these guys are slow and they are power hungry. So go down that route if you want to. Doesn't matter, it'll work. The combustion centrifuge is much quicker, doesn't require power, just requires fuel. And as you know, we can get unlimited fuel by processing our ice. Now, I don't have any volatile ice, so I'm going to have to go out and get some. I haven't got any oxide ice either. So we'll go and sort that out shortly. On the centrifuge, what do we need to make it? So we need 2 steel sheets. Of course we need 2 steel sheets. Why wouldn't we need 2 steel sheets? Oh, I've got 2. It's like I planned it. You go away. So we're just going to wait for a second. There we go. Okay, so there's our centrifuge, and we're probably going to need a frame for this guy. I don't have one. Do you have steel? You do. So make me a frame. Steel frame. Okie dokie. No storm, so we are good. So, I'm going to place this over here a little bit because it needs access to the fuel. And obviously when you're working with fuel and gases and stuff, keep it away from your main base until you've kind of got an understanding. But yeah. So, the combustion centrifuge, it needs to be placed on a frame. As you can see, I can't place it here, but I can place it here. We'll place it down here and get it built. So we just need the steel sheets, and then we need a single cable coil. There we go. And you know what? This is probably one of the nicer models in the game. I like how this machine looks. You basically have a slot for a chip, so you can automate it if you want to, or automate other things from it. You have a export lever, so once it's full, you can pull this and it'll export. You've got your power switch, obviously self-explanatory. And then over here you've got gauges. Now you've got one throttle for combustion. Wait, no, sorry. You've got one handle for the throttle, and you've got one handle for the combustion limiter. Now, if you're looking at this going, ugh, how do those two work? Don't worry, I'm not going to explain it to you. I'm basically going to show you all you need to do to get this guy working, because it is not difficult. If you speak to anyone who actually knows anything about life, they'll be able to explain what this is. It's probably somehow linked to how cars work. I don't bloody know. But that's not what we're here to do. We are here to show you how to get started, and by George, that's what I'm going to do. So, connect your power just to some cable, which I'm going to do here. Like so. And then you've got data on the left side. We don't need data right now. Power is going to be enough. On the back, there are 2 ports. You can't quite see them because it's kind of in the ground a little bit. But there you go. You can see. So you've got one here, which is the input. One here is the output. Now, what do you need to input? The clue's in the name. Combustion. You need to feed fuel. So we obviously have our fuel line here with what I hope is enough fuel. Not a lot of fuel. We've got a bit of fuel. We'll be able to get it started. So you're empty. Let's get you turned off and turn off the output. Let's go and get some pipes. We're going to go insulated just so we can keep whatever comes out. Is 12 going to be enough? Don't know. Let's find out. So, from the input, which is on the left-hand side if you are looking at it from the front, to confuse things, feed the input, well, feed your fuel into the input. Like so. Then the output, you can either get rid of this, because it's going to be just like a mix of gases, or if you want to keep it, just store it into something where you're storing your gas. Obviously, we have a tank where we're capturing all of our gases in here. So I'm just going to chuck all my gases into there, and we've got plenty of capacity. The tank can handle 60 MPa, and we're on 4.8. So we are absolutely fine. The other thing I need is some more pipes. Also, I'm hoping the audio is better. I had my dead cat delivered today. I did not know that what blah, 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 blah. I did not know that is what they were called until I got one. Basically, it's a little fuzzy thing you put on the end of your microphone, which is supposed to help. It's supposed to fight against wind. Obviously, I'm inside. I'm hoping it's fighting against the sound of my PC. If it isn't, well, that was £10 well spent. But we'll see. We'll see. So, I'm going to connect this to the output of my centrifuge. Obviously, we should be color-coding these pipes. For a long time, I've never done that, but recently, people have kind of got me into that kind of thing. I do find that painting the pipes does help occasionally, but don't tell people I said that, because I don't want them to think they're right. But that's the combustion centrifuge. Pretty bog standard, pretty easy. Fuel in, waste out, and then obviously we will turn this on. But I'm not going to waste the fuel yet, because what I want to do is I want to get my deep miner built. Now this guy is massive. So what we're going to do is, just because we're making a mess of everything, let's just place it somewhere completely random. Let's put it here. Now this has to be placed with ground.
Air tank low.
Ground below it. Like, I can't place it there. It can't float. It requires terrain. So I'm going to put it here. I'm going to put it here. And let's get this guy built. So I need a welder and my steel sheets. Takes a while to do this. It is 12 sheets after all. And then we need a screwdriver and cable. And finally, electronic parts. There we go. Now that is this was quite nice, and I like that you have this little platform with the on-off button. I need to get it plugged into power, obviously, but I need more cable. So let me quickly go and get some of that meat. And whilst we're waiting for the cable, we will go and get ourselves some oxygen. So that and that. Luckily, I don't have to go all the way into my greenhouse because my oxygen tank is just here. Come on. And let's just pull you away from the wall a little bit. Get me canister. Bloop.
Air tank critical.
Bloop. There we go. We can breathe for another day. Get rid of the 0.5. Job's a good one. And give me my wire cutters. Right, so let's get this guy plugged in. So these guys output are obviously, I think it says something about 1 dirty ore every 90 seconds. One of these centrifuges can handle 3 of these miners. So by having one, and this is overkill because there will be times where this is waiting for dirty ore. So if you have 3 of these, they kind of keep up, and you'll never really, you won't be wasting fuel. So bear that in mind. For the sake of tutorial, we're doing 1, but I suggest you make 3 of these in total for every 1 of these. I'm now going to bring over here, we've got our little output slot, which we're going to connect some chutes to. So we're going to connect those to the input of our centrifuge. Look at that. I even had 1 spare. So this guy has power, and his output is connected to the input of this. Now, there is one thing I would suggest. So obviously you can do this, and this is absolutely fine. This isn't really an issue, especially since we only have 1 of these. But my suggestion would be that you take out 1 of these, and in this slot put a stacker. So we have a stacker. It's 1 of these. We've been using it inside our base. You know what? Let's go and use that one. Well, we can always make another one later if we need to. This is your stacker. Now, if you recall, this guy allows you to either combine or split stacks of items. Now, the deep miner will output dirty ore in like random quantities. You might get 3, you might get 2, you might get 7. I can't really remember, but it's all over the place. So what you should do, or what you can do, you don't have to, is put a stacker somewhere on that chute network so that you only feed stacks of 15 to the combustion centrifuge. Not for any other reason than just to keep this chute clear. Because say you had 3 of those, but they were all outputting like 3s, you would very quickly fill up this chute. Whereas if you're just feeding them into this constantly, this guy will keep them as 50s, and it'll take a lot longer for this chute to back up. So I do suggest getting 1 of these if you've got the material and if you've got the power. Don't forget, these guys are really expensive on power. But that is pretty much it for this side of it. So, deep miner, chutes connected into a stacker, set to 50. There's no point in setting it more than 50 because you can't stack the dirty ore more than 50. It's the same as normal ore. You cannot like combine these together. There's only some ores that can do that, and you don't have them yet. It's charcoal and some of the space ices, but we aren't going to space today. But yeah, so that goes into the stacker, and then that obviously releases our 50s into here. So what I'm going to do, just so we can kind of potentially see it working, is I'm going to put a window chute there. So we should hopefully get backup of some dirty ore, as long as I leave this off. So to start with, let's get this guy on. And what you'll see is he will just start digging into the ground. And he will go until he reaches the bottom. You can't do anything to speed this up. You can't dig down yourself and then expect it to go quicker. It doesn't work that way. You have to just let it do its thing. It doesn't take long. You're probably looking at a couple of minutes, and then it'll get to the bottom. And at that point, you'll start getting dirtier every 90 seconds, I think it said in the Stationepedia. While that's doing that, let's get the centrifuge fired up. But before I do that, I would like to, well, maybe I've got some ice in here. Let's see. We've got a little bit of volatile, not much. Oxide, we haven't got much either, which is a real shame. So I'm going to very quickly go and get some ice. Okay. So with our oxide and our volatile, obviously we set up our 2 ice crushers. Don't forget we need to turn our filter on for this to work. And we'll quite simply, we will just chuck our ices into them. And obviously because we set up the pressure, the temperature logic when we put these up, we don't have to wait very long at all for it to crush our ice. I have only just learned, and it may have just come across as like, oh, I knew it was there. I did not realize you could look at this panel. Like, that is such a nice little thing. Has that panel always been there? If it has, I bloody missed it. But we should have tons of oxide now. Oxygen. Oh, yeah, there we go, look.
Hunger, caution.
1.2 megapascal with 18 to come through. The volatile's looking good also. Right, we can turn you off to save some power. We'll leave that on for a little bit whilst the rest of that oxygen gets sucked out. So this guy should be getting near the bottom. As you can see, he's pretty deep. Still mining though, so he's not quite at the bottom yet, but getting there. So some people will say that obviously there's a certain way you can do this for it to make sense, like there'll be so much throttle to so much combustion, etc, etc, etc. On a live stream a couple of weeks ago now, somebody basically explained the easiest way of getting this thing running, and oh my god, it is so simple. Basically, what happens is when you use these 2 levers, so if I turn both of them up to 10, you will see it start spinning. And as you can see, we can see the speed increasing, the pressure, the temperature, and also the stress. Now, if the stress hits 100%, then the combustion centrifuge will stop. This is one of the very few machines in the game that does not explode. So just know that regardless of what the pressure and temperature, well, I've never got it to explode. Like, it's not mattered what I've done to this, it does not explode. All that happens is when it hits a high amount of stress, it makes this god-awful noise. Honestly, it's so, you will know if it isn't working because you will hear it on the other side of the planet. It is ridiculous. But when that happens, what you need to do is turn both these levers down, and then you basically need to start the process again. But as you can see, the stress is coming down, okay, which is perfectly fine. Now, the trick here is leave both of these on 10 until your stress hits 0.
Hydration critical.
What I used to do was when I saw the stress coming down, I would then knock them both up again, another 10. And then wait for it to go up, then it'll start coming down, and then I'd do the same again, blah, 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 blah. You don't have to do that. All you've got to do is wait for the stress to hit 0, whack them both up to full, and it will just work. You will get very close to 100% stress, but it won't quite get there. And it'll just continue to work. So if you look at the speed, we've got about 249 RPM, 250. Now what I'm going to do is whack both of these guys back up. Well, up to 100. Okay? And now we're going to leave it. Normally you would obviously keep an eye on it. If it's getting too high, you would reduce them and increase them and do all that bloody messing around. But we'll come back in a second, and in theory, it should be okay. I just need to go and get some water and some sustenance. Water is over here. And sustenance I need to make. Yeah, a lot of people won't be happy that that CO2 canister got wasted. To be honest, if I was on another planet where I cared about it, it would be a massive problem. But here, it's Mars. You're not desperate for CO2, like, ever. So don't worry too much about it. So, let's go back out and let's see what our centrifuge is doing, shall we? I'm hoping it'll be on some of the high percentages. Oh no, we can see it coming down, look. So, if it had hit 100, it would have stopped. And you would have heard it. So that's what you've got to do. Knock them both up to 10. And this is from a cold start, obviously. Knock them up to 10. Wait for the stress to go up. And then go back down to 0. Once that happens, knock them both up to full. That's all you've got to do. Why does it work? Don't know. How does this work in general? Don't know. All you need to worry about is that your dirty ore goes in, gets spun at like, what is that, like 492 RPM, and then it will come out as ore for you. So I think using the normal fuel, which is what we're doing, you're not going to get any more than 500 RPM. If you use a different type of... Oh no, I'm a little bit wrong. Look, a little bit more. If you use the other fuel, where you mix nitrous oxide with volatile? Yeah, nitrous oxide and volatile in a 50-50 mix, you would get a much higher speed. Not something I've delved in myself, and it's something that I'll look into after the update lands. I'll start playing a new playthrough and kind of doing all that, really. But yeah, so that's the centrifuge. This is up and running. It is using fuel, so the longer we leave it like this, the more fuel wastage we have. Obviously, fuel isn't hard to come by. We've now got an awful lot of fuel in both these tanks. Sorry, a lot of gas in these tanks. And they are both at, or should be at, the same temperature. Near enough. So, I'm going to turn on my gas mixer, which is still set. We should now see our fuel going up. Yeah, we're good. And we're going to leave that on. Screw it. Let's convert it all to fuel. The only thing to do is to turn the stacker on. So you can see there, look, we've got some dirty ore. And it's in random stacks. So if I turn this on, you see we've got 10, 20, then 31, 41. Completely random. Although it seems like they were always 10, but it's not always the case. Now, obviously, we've got it set to 50. I'm going to just eject it now, just so we can kind of see it working. And you'll see there now, look, we've started producing ore. So you can see how quickly that's coming in. Obviously, one dirty ore per type of ore, really. If you were using this other centrifuge inside, this one, it would be much slower. I think that one only gets up to like 100 RPM. It's not very quick at all. But this one absolutely rinses it. And basically, all you're doing is you're waiting. I think this guy will hold up to I think it's 2,000 reagents. I might be wrong, so if I am, somebody correct me. But I'm pretty sure if the ores total 2,000, this is full. When that happens, it will flash an error. When that happens, all you need to do is eject the ore and then turn both of these levers down to 0. Once it's empty, close your lever and then just start the process of getting it up and running again. That is it. It is not as hard as what I used to think it was. Since being shown the lever trick thing, piece of piss. Piece of piss. One other thing to note, which I think is important. Obviously, the dirty ore is coming out and has to be processed through the centrifuge. You cannot put the dirty ore into a furnace. Well, you can, but it won't. You won't get anything. It has to be processed in here. Anything that your deep miner gets, so anything that has come through as dirty ore and then passed through the centrifuge, is degassed. So, as I said, I think I mentioned it a while ago when we were doing the normal furnace. When you put an ore in, the ores release the gas. So, for example, if we look at iron, it will release, each ore will release half a mole of CO2 and 2 moles of pollutant. 2.5 moles in total. That's when you mine it by hand. If you get it by here and you press it through a centrifuge, the ore comes out. It will still be iron ore, but it will contain no gas. Okay, which makes it much easier to work with when you are trying to create alloys. Because a problem that you will normally encounter is with a furnace, you get it up to your temperature and your pressure, then when you start putting your ores in or your ingots, you will lose the temperature because it uses the temperature to push the ore. Because these are degassed, technically it will still use the heat, but the ore will not off gas into it and won't cool the furnace down. So when this comes out, it'll be much easier to process with a smaller amount of fuel. But also, because it's degassed, we will be able to create something called a hot box. And basically, it's a way for your furnace to stay always hot. I don't know if it's an exploit. I'm not sure. I don't know if it's by design, if it's supposed to be like that. I feel like that if it wasn't supposed to be like that, then maybe they would insulate the furnaces. Because, like I said, if I pump fuel into this, so if we just do a little bit now and show you, I don't want to waste it. So if we just pump in a little bit of fuel, okay, if I just fire this up, obviously we get a hot temperature. But without me touching it, you can see the temperature going down. And that is because the surrounding air, so Mars, is effectively cooling that furnace down. So the furnace is not insulated. And you can also tell this by getting your tablet. You'll see that you have the convected and the radiated. Because they aren't zero, we are losing or gaining heat. So it's just something to be mindful of, that obviously these guys aren't insulated. But because they aren't insulated, it means that we can affect the furnace temperature from outside of the furnace. So, for example, if you're playing on Venus and you pump in a gas, Venus is always over 400 degrees Celsius. I can't remember quite what it is, about 420, I don't know. But that means that your furnace will never drop below 420. And what's nice about that is if you look at copper, where is its thing? Oh, maybe it's the ingot. Oh, bloody hell. Copper ingot. 327 degrees C. So, depending on the planet, you can create a furnace that will just never cool down. And that's without any external infrastructure. On a planet like Mars, obviously not quite as easy, because at the moment we've got a negative 46 degrees Celsius, so this furnace will eventually cool down to negative 46, at which point we're going to have problems. But what if we could create basically a bit of a ecosphere around it? Like, we put it in a box, and that box is designed to keep the furnace hot. And because our ores here are degassed, they will not affect the furnace. And so you basically have infinite smelting without having to lift a finger. And that, my dear friends, is what we're going to do next time. So we have our centrifuge, which is very nicely, as you can see, processing our dirty ore. Currently not processing anything because at the moment we're waiting for the next load to come through. As I said, you want 3 of these to every 1 centrifuge. Otherwise, this guy will just be sat there doing nothing and still chugging away out of fuel. But you'll understand the concept anyway. Very basic concept. Centrifuge, deep drill, stacker, and power. Because that guy, as you can see, is having a bit of a knock-on effect on my power. But that's easy to fix. You know, we could put more solar panels on. I assume these guys aren't damaged. They're not. More wind turbines, all that kind of thing. So, I'm gonna leave it there on this one. I don't think that was too quick, but ask my wife, I'm always too quick. Who the hell knows? Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. I don't know. But we are getting to a point where after we do the hot box, I don't feel like we're in new player territory at that point. Granted, if you're brand new to the game, there's a lot I haven't touched on, but the fun of this game is figuring it out. So the next tutorial will be setting up a hotbox, and then after that, I'm gonna leave it with you. You've seen us set up a very, very basic base with everything that we need to get started. At that point, it is up to you to go and continue exploring. There's still a ton of stuff in the Stationepedia we haven't touched on, but have fun with it. Build them, figure it out, blow your base up, rinse and repeat. That's the whole point. So next time I'll show you how to do a hotbox, or I'll show you how I create a hotbox. Doesn't necessarily mean it's the right way of doing it, but it's going to be my way of doing it. And yeah, you will basically have infinite ore to go and build to your desire. So hopefully that was of some help. If it was, let me know. If it wasn't, let me know. And I will catch you next time. Take it easy. Bye.